Coverdale Bible, the Gospel of St. John. Summary to chapter 19. Christ is crucified. He commendeth his mother unto John, sheddeth his blood, and is buried. The 19th chapter. Then Pilate took Jesus, and scourged him. And the soldiers platted a crown of thorns, and set it upon his head, and put a purple garment upon him, and said, Hail, King of the Jews! And they smote him on the face. Then went Pilate forth again, and said unto them, Behold, I bring him forth unto you, that ye may know that I find no fault in him. So Jesus went out, and bare a crown of thorn, and a purple robe. And he said unto them, Behold the man. When the high priests and the ministers saw him, they cried, and said, Crucify, crucify. Pilate said unto them, Take ye him, and crucify him, for I find no guiltiness in him. The Jews answered him, We have a law, and after our law he ought to die, because he made himself the Son of God. When Pilate heard that word, he was the more afraid, and went again into the common hall, and said unto Jesus, Whence art thou? But Jesus gave him no answer. Then said Pilate unto him, Speakest thou not unto me? Knowest thou not that I have power to crucify thee, and have power to loose thee? Jesus answered, Thou shouldest have no power upon me, if it were not given thee from above. Therefore he that delivered me unto thee hath the more sin. From that time forth Pilate sought means to loose him. But the Jews cried, and said, If thou let him go, thou art not the emperor's friend. For whosoever maketh himself king is against the emperor. When Pilate heard that word, he brought Jesus forth, and sat him down upon the judgment seat, in the place which is called the Pavement, but in the Hebrew, Gabbatha. It was the day of preparing of the Easter, about the 6th hour. And he said unto the Jews, Behold your king. But they cried, Away with him, away with him, crucify him. Pilate said unto them, Shall I crucify your king? The high priests answered, We have no king but the emperor. Then delivered he him unto them to be crucified. They took Jesus, and led him away. And he bare his cross, and went out to the place called the place of dead men's skulls, which in Hebrew is named Golgotha, where they crucified him, and two other with him, on either side one, but Jesus in the midst. Pilate wrote a superscription, and set upon the cross, and there was written, Jesus of Nazareth, King of the Jews. This superscription read many of the Jews, for the place where Jesus was crucified was nigh unto the city. And it was written in Hebrew, Greek, and Latin. Then said the high priests of the Jews unto Pilate, Write not, King of the Jews, but that he said, I am King of the Jews. Pilate answered, What I have written, that have I written. The soldiers, when they had crucified Jesus, took his garments and made 4 parts, to every soldier 1 part, and the coat also. As for the coat, it was unsewed from above, wrought through and through. Then said they one to another, Let us not divide it, but cast lots for it. Who shall have it? That the scripture might be fulfilled, which saith, They have parted my garments among them, and on my coat have they cast lots. This did the soldiers indeed. There stood by the cross of Jesus his mother, and his mother's sister Mary, the wife of Cleophas, and Mary Magdalene. Now when Jesus saw his mother, and the disciple standing by, whom he loved, he said unto his mother, Woman, behold, that is thy son. Then said he to the disciple, Behold, that is thy mother. And from that hour the disciple took her unto him. After that, when Jesus knew that all was performed, that the scripture might be fulfilled, he said, I am athirst. There stood a vessel full of vinegar. They filled a sponge with vinegar, and wound it about with hyssop, and held it to his mouth. Now when Jesus had received the vinegar, he said, It is finished, and bowed his head, and gave up the ghost. The Jews then, for so much as it was the day of preparing, that the bodies should not remain upon the cross on the Sabbath, for the same Sabbath day was great, besought Pilate that their legs might be broken, and that they might be taken down. Then came the soldiers, and brake the legs of the first, and of the other that was crucified with him. But when they came to Jesus, and saw that he was dead already, they brake not his legs. But one of the soldiers opened his side with a spear, and immediately there went out blood and water. And he that saw it bare record, and his record is true. And he knoweth that he saith true, that ye might believe also. For this is done, that the scripture might be fulfilled. Ye shall not break a bone of him. And again, another scripture saith, They shall see him whom they have pierced. After that, Joseph of Arimathea, which was a disciple of Jesus, but secretly for fear of the Jews, besought Pilate that he might take down the body of Jesus. And Pilate gave him license. There came also Nicodemus, which afore came unto Jesus by night, and brought of myrrh and aloes mingled together, about 100 pound weight. Then took they the body of Jesus, and wound it with linen clothes, and with the spices, as the manner of the Jews is to bury. And by the place where Jesus was crucified, there was a garden, and in the garden a new sepulchre, wherein was never man laid. There laid they Jesus, because of the preparing day of the Jews, for the sepulchre was nigh at hand.